as you proceed, you see directional signs that will take you to the alternative assembly point. Then, on the security aspect, this is a public place, though it's a controlled environment. It is therefore very, very important that your personal valuable belongings, more especially a mobile phone, should not be left unattended. If you have a cause to live where you are seated, maybe going to the convenience, tea break, lunch, or whatsoever reason for living while you are seated, please adhere to the organizations. Abuja Continental Hotel will not be liable for either loss, damage, or misplacement of any item. So please be guided. On medical emergencies, should there be any, we pray there will be none. We have first aiders all over the building to do the needful. And whatsoever beyond our control, we have a hospital just a kilometer away from the hotel where you'll be referred to for proper medical examination. Then any other emergency that's not medical, we have a dedicated line by just dialing 8111 from this phone, or better still, you can contact any of our staff who will call us, and within 3 minutes we'll be available to do the needful. So without wasting your time, on behalf of the management, I wish you a successful program. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Saleh Mohammed. All right, I hope we took note of all of those important, security tips that he gave to us, and of course, the convenience and other areas around the hall that might be important to us. At this time, for an additional security briefing, I would like to invite Esther Fagbo from Policy Innovation Center can we please put our hands together for her as she comes forward?
Hi everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Gender 2020, which is brought to you by the Nigeria National Action Partnership for Plastic, an initiative of the World Economic Forum. MPAP is hosted by the Policy Innovation Secretariat, closely working with the Federal Ministry of Environment, and together we're ensuring that we're building a plastic circular economy where plastic waste is responsibly managed and not in our environment anymore. Plastic pollution is not just an environmental issue. It is also a social and economic challenge, and it affects all of us in our communities. And it is in this regard that we have partnered with EcoBanter, a committed partner that is advancing the collection of plastic recyclable. Now, here is where you come in and what we want you to do in this summit. As you move around the summit,
please do us that favor, bring out your mobile phones. The same mobile phone you were looking at just now. Right, don't act like you don't know that phone. So you turn the camera on. It's something we like to do from time to time. You turn the camera on, switch to your selfie, and just admire yourself, first of all. Look. Say that again?
God they creates.
Because, I mean, we don't do that a lot, right? We don't take time to really admire ourselves and say, well, you've come this far. I celebrate you. All right, so now that you've done that, I want you to quickly take a selfie with the person closest to you. Take a selfie with them, with your best smile. Take your best selfie with the best angle. I know people have different angles. So choose your favorite angle. We're doing this right now.
You need to look at this as well, yeah. Awesome.
There you go. So go to your favorite social media handle, LinkedIn, X, Instagram, TikTok. And make sure you put up a post. TikTok, thank you very much. You could do a video and put up a post, hashtag GS25. Hashtag GS25. So put that up. I'll be looking out for your posts. I'll be following and retweeting. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, our Royal Fathers, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, would like to set the ball rolling officially today for the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025. And the only best way to start is with Nigeria's national anthem. So please, let's welcome LXS Entertainment as we stand to our feet to take the national anthem. So please, let's rise to our feet as we take Nigeria's national anthem. Thank you.
And to that we say amen. Please have your seat. Thank you very much. All right, to get things started, we have established the protocol already. Thank you very much, distinguished guests, for being here this morning. We're going to start with the welcome remark by the Chairman, Policy Innovation Center, Mr. Udeme Ufot. Are you ready, sir? Or do you need a minute to catch your breath? All right, please put your hands together for him as he comes to the stage.
Let's keep clapping. As a Chairman, Policy Innovation Center, Mr. Udeme Ufot.
Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished members of the National Assembly, esteemed development partners, captains of industry, members of civil society, the academia, the media, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure and a deep sense of responsibility to welcome you all to the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025, GS25. Convened by the Policy Innovation Center, an initiative of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, NESG, I extend my warmest appreciation to all our distinguished guests for honoring this invitation, for your unwavering support, and for bringing your voice. I say thank you for working with us, contributed to the realization of GS25. We deeply value your commitment. Finally, I sincerely appreciate every participant here today. Your presence signifies hope, dedication, and the collective will to reimagine a more inclusive Nigeria. A platform for collective action. The Gender Summit, now in its 4th edition, bigger and I believe better, has become a central platform for reflections, dialogue, and collaboration. Over the years, GS has evolved into a hub where research meets practice, where evidence informs policy, and where the lived experience of ordinary citizens shape national conversations. In 2022, we launched the first summit with the theme, Connecting the Dots. It set the foundation, helping us to identify the critical linkages between gender equality, governance, and sustainable development. In 2023, we advanced the conversation with the theme, Building Bridges, advancing gender and inclusion through the intersection of trade and health. That summit brought attention to how trade and health, often treated separately, are deeply interwoven with gender dynamics. In 2024, we convened around the theme, Reimagining Gender Inclusive Pathways and Partnerships for Poverty Reduction. The discussions emphasized multidimensional poverty, recognizing that poverty is not simply a lack of income, but a deprivation of opportunity, health, education, and dignity. From each summit, we did not merely discuss, we acted. The Policy Innovation Center curated the insights and recommendations into the Purple Book, now in its 3rd edition. The Purple Book has become a tool for sustained advocacy, a guide for policy engagement, and a roadmap for action. It ensures that the voices raised here continue to resonate in government offices, development forums, and corporate boardrooms long after the summit ends. Now, why does this year's summit matter? This year at GS25, we gather under the theme, New Voices and New Approaches for Accelerating an Inclusive Society. The theme is both timely and urgent. It reflects the reality that achieving inclusion in Nigeria, and indeed across Africa, requires us to go beyond business as usual. We must look critically at our approaches, challenge old assumptions, and embrace fresh, for one, new voices. We must listen to those who are often excluded from decision-making processes. The voices of rural women who power our agricultural economy but remain under-recognized. The voices of young people whose creativity and resilience are assets to national progress, but who face barriers of unemployment and under-representation. The voices of persons with disabilities, internally displaced persons, and other marginalized groups whose experiences highlight the gaps in our systems. Inclusion begins with listening. New approaches. Beyond listening, we must innovate. We must deploy technology not only as a tool for economic growth, but as an enabler of inclusion. We must design social protection systems that are data-driven and responsive. We must adopt financing models that break down structural barriers for women entrepreneurs and small businesses. And we must commit to multi-sectoral collaboration, because no single sector or institution can deliver inclusion alone. When we talk about accelerating inclusion, we recognize that progress is being made, but not nearly at the pace required. Social inequalities continue to widen, with women and marginalized groups disproportionately affected. In Nigeria, despite being home to some of Africa's most dynamic entrepreneurs and thought leaders, too many citizens remain excluded from benefits of economic growth. This summit, therefore, challenges us to think differently, to act boldly, and to accelerate inclusivity as a national and collective priority. The Nigerian and global context. We cannot underestimate the urgency of this work. Around the world, conversations on inclusion are shifting with greater attention to the intersections of gender, technology, climate change, health, and trade. Nations that embrace in Nigeria, the stakes are high, particularly high. The reality is that gender inequality, social exclusion, and poverty are not abstract issues. They manifest in everyday lives. They are seen in the market woman who cannot access credits, the young girl denied education, the woman who dies in childbirth due to lack of health care, or the person with disability unable to access public spaces or employment. Each of these is a call to action. That is why the Policy Innovation Center, or that's why at the Policy Innovation Center, we are committed to convening this summit annually to provide evidence, dialogue, and advocacy that drives systemic change. Our mission is not only to spark conversations, but to ensure that recommendations here and measurable outcomes. Our commitment to the Purple Book, or through the Purple Book. As with past editions, GS25 will not end in a discussion. Every idea, every recommendation, every innovative solution shared here will be carefully documented and curated into the Purple Book. This will serve as a roadmap for policy advocacy and a tool for stakeholders to hold each other accountable for progress. The Purple Book is more than a report. It is a living testimony of our collective commitment to building an inclusive Nigeria. A call to engage and act gathered here, but in the willingness of every participant to commit to action. As we begin GS25, let us remember that inclusion is not just a policy agenda, it is a moral imperative. It is about ensuring that every Nigerian, regardless of gender, age, ability, or background, has the opportunity to live with dignity, to contribute meaningfully, and to benefit from the progress of our nation. Together, let us amplify new voices. Together, let us pioneer new approaches. Together, let us accelerate the journey towards a Nigeria that is not only prosperous, but inclusive. Once again, I warmly welcome you all to GS25 at the Abuja Continental Hotel. May our deliberations be fruitful, transformative, and catalytic for change. Thank you, and may God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Mr. Udeme Ufot, Chairman, Policy Innovation Center. Let us remember, inclusion is not just a policy agenda, but it is a moral imperative. Great, great thoughts there. At this time, I'd like to, before I call on our next speaker, I'd like to please let all the speakers know that there's a timer right in front of you. So please pay attention to that. If you see me climb up stage, or if you see Kayode climb up stage with you, it means your time is up. So please let us try to stay with the time.
Directors of the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, directors of the Policy Innovation Center, our esteemed Policy Innovation Center, our esteemed keynote speaker, our partners from the development institutions, captains of industry, civil society leaders, our royal fathers, leaders from the academia, our vibrant delegates, members of the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you all today to the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025, convened by the Policy Innovation Center of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. I sincerely thank you all for joining us, for participating, and for lending your voices to what is a very critical dialogue. Your presence here today demonstrates not only your commitment to inclusion, but also your belief that Nigeria can and Nigeria must do better in creating a society where no one is left behind. Today's gathering marks a significant milestone in our collective journey towards an inclusive Nigeria. Since its inception, the Gender and Inclusion Summit has evolved into a distinctive platform for reflection, for collaboration, and also for action. The summit is where research meets policy, where ideas converge with innovation, and where the voices of government, the private sector, the civil society, and the citizens all come together to shape a more equitable future. This year's theme, New Voices and New Approaches for Accelerating an Inclusive Society, is both deliberate and equally timely. It calls us to acknowledge the limitations of past approaches and also embrace the creativity, the innovation, and the diverse perspectives required to progress. The global development community reminds us that greater. Our nation's greatest resource is its people, our diverse, youthful, innovative, and resilient people. Yet, too many of our citizens remain excluded from the benefits of growth. Women continue to face structural barriers in accessing economic opportunities. Young people are burdened by unemployment and underrepresentation, and the marginalized groups struggle with systemic exclusion. The COVID-19 pandemic further laid bare these inequalities, amplifying the vulnerabilities of women and girls, persons with disabilities, and rural communities. It also revealed the cost of exclusion, not only in human dignity, but also in economic losses. When half of a nation are unable to contribute, the entire nation suffers. It is against this backdrop that the Gender Equity Summit 25 challenges us to think differently and to act boldly. We need new voices, we need new approaches. New voices means inclusion, and inclusion requires listening to those who have long been silenced or sidelined. The voices of rural communities must not only be heard, but must shape the decisions that affect their lives. We also need new approaches. Beyond listening, we must innovate. We need policies that are gender responsive and data-driven. Financial models that break barriers for women-owned enterprises, social programs vulnerable, and cross-technology, trade, health, and education to drive inclusion. Only then can we truly accelerate the building of an inclusive society. Let us recall that 30 years ago, in 1995, the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action established the global agenda for gender equality. It was a turning point, but nearly 3 decades later, sadly, many of the commitments remain unmet. Similarly, the Sustainable Development Goals remind us that gender equality is not just Goal 5, rather it is integral to the attainment of all the 17. Without inclusion, poverty reduction, health, education, climate resilience, and economic growth cannot be achieved. The responsibility therefore lies on all of us as government, private sector, civil society, development partners, and citizens to ensure that Nigeria and Nigerians do not lag behind. At the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, we recognize the critical role of the Policy Innovation Center in providing the evidence, policy direction, and advocacy needed to achieve and to advance this agenda. The Purple Book, now in its 3rd edition, remains one of the most important contributions of this summit. It represents a living document that curates actionable recommendations and provides a roadmap for engagement. At the NESG, we are proud to support the work of the PIC. We are committed to ensuring that insights from this summit are not just conversations, but are translated into practical strategies embedded in national policies and implemented in ways that touch the lives of the ordinary citizens. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we embark on 2 days of rich dialogue and collaboration, I urge us all to engage with courage, but also with openness. Let us not be afraid to challenge assumptions, to question old models, new innovative ideas. Let us see this summit not merely as an event, but as a catalyst for action, a springboard towards a Nigeria that is inclusive, just, and prosperous for all. On behalf of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, I therefore welcome you once again to GS 2025. I thank all our partners, our sponsors, our speakers, and our participants for your unwavering commitment. Together, let us amplify new voices, pioneer new approaches, and accelerate the journey towards an inclusive society. I conclude my remarks with the third stanza of the national anthem that we just sang. O God of all creation, grant this our one request. Help us to build a nation where no man is oppressed, and so with peace and plenty, Nigeria may be blessed. May God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Olaniyi Yusuf, Chairman, Nigeria Economic Summit Group, NESG. Thank you very much for that. He said that new voices and new approaches for accelerating an inclusive society means that we must listen to those who have been either silenced or marginalized. But they must not just be heard, their voices must shape the policies that affect their lives. Thank you very much, sir, for those very instructive words. Would like to acknowledge the presence of few distinguished individuals. Everyone here is special and distinguished, but we want to acknowledge the presence of GS25 Technical Advisory Committee Chair, Mrs. Ansatu Adigbite. Please let's put our hands together for her. Thank you for all of the great work that you do. We also have with us Ms. Beatrice Ayong, UN Women Country Representative. Good morning, and it's always great to have you join us. Also with us is a board member, Nigeria Economic Summit Group, Nana Ayim Ude. Let's put our hands together for him. We also have a founder and CEO, GAM Africa Institute for Leadership, the Gambia, and a board member, Women Political Leaders, Belgium, Ole Diba Wada. Also with us this morning, just for acknowledgement, is...
All right, Let me acknowledge Commodore Ibifubara Pepple. Is the representative of the Chief of Naval Staff, Nigerian Navy. Where are you, sir? Okay. Let's put our hands together. Oh, I believe he's probably still on his way. Would also like to recognize the presence of Assistant Commandant General Musa Farouk Boyi, CPP NSCDC. Please let's put our hands together for him. We also have Mr. Laoye Jaiola, Board Member, Policy Innovation Center. Welcome, sir. It's good to have you. We have Mrs. Amina Oyagbola, Founder, Women in Successful Careers, WISCA. Welcome, it's good to have you. And for now, lastly for now, Mr. Enahoro Kai, CEO, God is Good Mottos. It's good to have you in our midst. Please let's put our hands together for him. Thank you for being here.
All right, we'll do more acknowledgements, but I want to quickly ask you to put your hands together for yourselves as well. We acknowledge your presence. We acknowledge that you're able to come here today. We also want to say thank you to other representatives of government, donor agencies, development partners, and private sector here today. It takes teamwork to make the dream work. We'd like to quickly take special remarks from some of our guests. These remarks will take about 2 minutes to be delivered. So ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, let's put our hands together for GS25 Technical Advisory Chair, Mrs. Hansatu Adigbite, for her special remarks this morning. Let's keep clapping, let's keep clapping, let's keep clapping. Thank you very much as she steps up.
Good morning, everyone. My chairmen have done an exceptional job to acknowledge all the VIPs and everybody in the room, including the MCs. So I will just stand on every existing protocol. It is always a pleasure to be in any room that has gender on its agenda for me. And so I also want to appreciate every single one of you for showing up, because it is one thing to organize an event, but it's another thing for people to actually come and sit and be a part of the conversation. It is important for me to mention that the call for this inclusive society in Nigeria is more urgent and critical than ever before. And for each and every one of us seated in this room, we have some things that we need to ensure that we do within these 2 days. Number one, don't come and leave without connecting with somebody. So you make sure that you connect with somebody in the room and make sure that you leave with as many contacts as possible. Number two, is very important for you to learn so that you will understand your place in the acceleration of an inclusive society, and yet then you're able to sort of pivot and pinpoint where your voice will matter in the scheme of things. But it's also very important for us to be aware of the issues. And some of the critical ones I want to highlight is the call for the special seats bill that is being pushed by the Speaker of the National Assembly, so that we all educate ourselves and support it. The Gender-Based Violence Fund that the UN Women is also driving at, so that we support it. And then it's also important for us to support the Ministry of Women Affairs for the domestication of the women economic empowerment policy, so that we won't have poverty in our midst. So I conclude by saying to each and every one of us that your voice is needed for us to collectively build a Nigeria where every one of us belongs. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam. And Satu Adegbite, GS25, Technical Advisory Committee Chair. All our voices must be heard, but your voices won't be heard if you do not speak up, if you do not participate. So, do we all promise to participate actively in GS25? If you promise, say aye. If you don't promise, say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you very much. So, it is not just a promise, we have to walk the talk, and the GS25 is here to ensure that all of our voices are heard. Thank you very much. Very quickly, I'd like to specially recognize the presence of the Deputy Director of Program Advocacy and Communications, Gates Foundation, Mr. Ekenem Isiche. Please, let's put our hands together for him. Thank you very much for the great work that you do supporting the work of PIC. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to the next special remarks, and this is going to be coming from the UN Women Country Representative. So if your hands are not too busy, let's give a warm GS25 welcome to Miss Beatrice Eyong, the UN Women Country Representative. We can do better. We can do better. Let your voices be heard through your clap. That's another way to let your voices be heard as well. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, our royal fathers, allow me stand on existing protocol. It is with great honor that I participate in the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025. And I really want to commend the organizers, because this assembly occurs at a pivotal juncture for Nigeria and the broader region, where gender equality and inclusion are not merely aspirational goals, but essential prerequisites for sustainable development, peace, and equitable prosperity. At UN Women Nigeria, we remain dedicated to promoting gender equality and empowering women across various sectors in collaboration with government, civil society, and the private sector. We have accomplished some significant milestones. And today we are talking about new voices, and we are talking about new approaches. I want to say that we need the voices of those who are left behind. We need the voices of widows. We need the voices of women living with disabilities. We need the voices of women living with HIV/AIDS. we need the voices of all women and girls to make Nigeria an inclusive and a prosperous nation. I know I don't have enough time. I would just go on to say that some of the things we have been working on has been supporting gender-responsive planning and budgeting. We believe that with gender-responsive planning and budgeting, resources can go to where it is needed. And so there can be a fair and equitable redistribution of resources. We have worked with the government of Nigeria, like Lagos, and work on affirmative procurement. Affirmative procurement, the question you may understand about affirmative procurement is that what proportion of the public contracts goes to women entrepreneurs? And so we have 2 states that have already approved the policy, and today women in Lagos State and Kaduna State can have access to 30% of public contracts. And that has been with the support of the governors. I also want to talk about the 3rd National Action Plan. All of us know that women are very, very important to be sitting at the table during peace negotiations, peace-building efforts. And the speaker who just spoke before me has also talked about the special seats. The special seats actually is an opportunity that will cause this country to go forward in many things, in the economic sector, in the peace sector, in all the sectors. I also would quickly talk about the things that we need to look at critically. One of them is improving women's time use. If you look at the time use of women, you will see that women work too much in the unpaid care economy. And if women remain on the unpaid care economy, they will always be poorer than men, because the services and the goods that they produce, they don't receive any financial remuneration. This is something we must look at. We are also advocating for women's participation. What of the rural women who has to go kilometers to look for water, go kilometers to look for fuel wood, go kilometers to have fertile lands? We must think about how these women use their time. One of the things we are thinking about is reducing the time spent in those activities. The time that they take to go maybe to look for fuel wood, we can reduce it with solar system. We can reduce it with biogas. There are many things that we can do. But in this discussion, let's talk about the time use of women. And also, one thing we can benefit also in discussing these issues is the care economy. The statistics shows that with the care economy, we are able to generate 11 million jobs in Nigeria if we can invest in the care economy. These are the new approaches that we are talking about. And somebody has already talked about the financial system. We can't progress if we don't have the right financial services and products for women. For instance, our business women have told us that, let's take fashion industry. That brings about 2.5 to 6 billion US dollars to the Nigerian economy. They don't have a very adaptable financial product and service for them. I'm going to end. I know my time has finished. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gender equality should not be regarded as an act of charity or favor, but rather as an essential component of sound economic policy, national development, and justice. Empirical research suggests that addressing gender disparities could potentially enhance Nigeria's gross domestic product at least 2%, and that we are talking about billions of naira. It is evident that investing in women yields the most substantial benefits for societal progress. As we gather in this summit, let us recommit to building a Nigeria where women and girls thrive, where equality fuels progress and inclusion shapes our nation's future. Thank you for listening, and thank you for giving me some time.
Thank you very much, Ms. Beatrice Ayon. Oh, there's a women's anthem. Okay. I'd love to hear that at some point. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Thank you. Can we put our hands together for Miss Beatrice Ayon, UN Women Country Representative? Okay. I'll let you have it. All right, thank you very much. A round of applause for yourselves. Amazing. I love that song. I'd like to learn it, at the end of this conference. I'll definitely search it out. Very quickly, I'd like to invite Mr. Nnanna Ayim Ude, board member, Nigeria Economic Summit Group, for his special remarks. Please, can we put our hands together for him as he comes to the podium? Is he here? Oh, okay. Please, let's keep clapping until he gets here. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Chairman, NESG, Chairman PIC, distinguished guests, our partners from the Gates Foundation, Your Royal Highness. I wasn't told in advance I would do this, and our chairman of the board of the NESG has already delivered the NESG remarks. So in the interest of time, I will just align with whatever my chairman has said and then express our support, continued support to the PIC, and appreciate the PIC for all the work that they are doing in promoting inclusion and gender equity. Thank you very much.
And sweet, just how we like it. Thank you very much, Mr. Nnanna Ayim Ude. All right, very quickly, we do have a video from Miss Matilda Sante Asiedu, Second Deputy Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria. Is the video ready, please? Second Deputy Governor.
Central Bank of Ghana.
Central Bank of Nigeria, of Ghana. Apologies. I'm sorry, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Central Bank of Ghana. Oh, we don't have the video. Okay.
Oh, fantastic. So I'm told we'll get to that much later. But distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, there's a special presentation for you. If you've been at the Gender and Inclusive Summit in the past, you know that there's something called the opening ceremony. So it is my pleasure and our honor to welcome for the opening ceremony LXS Entertainment. For the next 5 minutes, they will officially give us the opening ceremony of the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025. So ladies and gentlemen, please let's put our hands together for LXS Entertainment.
One voice, we're a nation undivided.
beautiful opening ceremony by LXS Entertainment. Let's put our hands together for them. Officially, the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025 is now open. Thank you very much. Thank you. That was beautiful. I have goosebumps all over. Now you see that it's not easy to bring Nigeria together. You saw how they were trying to bring Nigeria. You see, it's a very tough job to do. Thank you so much for showing us the hard work that we do every day to keep this country as one. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, just as Alexis was giving us the opening ceremony, we had the pleasure of the presence of someone very, very important. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to give a GS25 special welcome to the Honorable Minister, Federal Ministry, Women Affairs and Social Development, Hajia Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, FSI. She's attending the Gender and Inclusion Summit as a minister for the very first time. Let's put our hands together for her. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister, for coming. So we're going to switch gears quickly and take our keynote speech. And the keynote speech will be delivered by the founder and the CEO, GAM Africa Institute for Leadership, the Gambia, also board member, Women Political Leaders, Belgium. Okay, just before that, I'm being told that we have to take a quick video presentation on Gender and Inclusion Summit to help us familiarize ourselves with the GS. So we'll take that quickly, then we'll move on to the keynote address. Please bear with us. So I'd like that you turn your attention to the screens for this presentation. Thank you.
Dedicated platform where everyone could be heard, where everyone could speak, and using different ways to ensure that the knowledge is passed across. And the only solution to that was a summit. The Gender and Inclusion Summit kicked off in 2022. We had 700 people in the room in Transcorp. We had over 3,000 people join virtually. And we had some people outside of Nigeria. Combined over the 2 days, we had over 1,000 people attend.
Immediately we said, you know what, we're not letting this die here. We're going to make sure that we create a publication that guarantees that post-summit people can make reference to the conversation, use that as an advocacy tool into the coming year. And that's how we developed the Purple Book. The beautiful thing about the Gender Summit is that we are so very organic in the way we are evolving the summit. 2023 Gender Summit, we introduced a day zero, which is now the Gender Summit Learning Workshop. We titled that workshop, Measuring What Matters. 2025, we've dreamt of the next 5 years. We're really, really ambitious. We see the Gender and Inclusion Summit as that place people
Just, redirecting a little bit back to our original agenda. And so I would like to invite Dr. Osasuyi Dirisu, Executive Director of Policy Innovation Center, to introduce the Gender and Inclusion Summit to us proper. All right, can we put our hands together for her as she comes? Please, can we keep clapping until she gets here? Thank you. This is the woman behind this, by the way. She put this together for us.
Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you again to the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025. I would have loved to take my presentation, but in the interest of time, I won't be doing that. So we have the honor of welcoming Honorable Minister, who has a very busy schedule, to give her special keynote address, after which we'll have her fireside chat. Thank you, Honorable Minister. It's my pleasure to welcome you upstage. Please, let's keep clapping.
So let's keep clapping. We have the Honorable Minister coming on stage right now for her keynote address. I think this speaks a lot about the administration's support for issues around gender and inclusion. So let's keep clapping. Thank you very much.
You see, when you're not used to something, you have to just listen to your heart. When I left home, they gave me this veil. But because I wasn't used to using a veil, you saw what happened. It almost tripped me. I would like to commend the band that entertained us this morning. It speaks volume to what we represent as a country. And despite our diversity, we remain united. And that's where our strength lies as a country. On this note, permit me to go through the protocol list. May I respectfully recognize the distinguished members of the National Assembly that are here present, the he for she's that we have at the National Assembly. May I also recognize all the representatives of honorable ministers that are here present and those that will be joining us later today. May I recognize all the heads of federal government agencies that are present, the representatives of our service chiefs, particularly the Chief of Naval Staff. May I recognize our UN Women Country Representative, Ms. Beatrice Iyong, my sister, my partner in progress. May I recognize the members of the Diplomatic Corps. May I also recognize the Chairman, Policy Innovation Center. May I recognize our royal fathers here present. I recognize you, I pay my respect. May I recognize the keynote speakers for today, our leaders of the academia, our captains of industries, all participants, directors of the Economic Summit Group, all stakeholders, distinguished members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. It is always exciting to be in a space that puts women, our children, and youths, and the vulnerable in our country, the abandoned voices at the center of discourse. This is because, in my opinion, that is where the real work of building nation begins. For the Federal Ministry of Men Affairs and Social Development, gatherings such as this, the Gender Inclusion Summit, are crucial in shaping the national development conversation and also driving the integration of gender perspectives into decision-making, while we amplify the voices that often go unheard. So we take it very seriously as part of our mandate to deliver inclusive growth and social transformation for the Federal Republic of Nigeria. let me quickly state upfront that the conversation here, the evidence generated, and the innovation presented will not end within these walls. They will directly inform our frameworks, our policies and programs under the Renewed Hope Agenda, our Renewed Hope Agenda, Mr. President's Renewed Hope Agenda for women, children, families, and the vulnerable. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, and our partners, we are at a defining moment in our national journey. Nigerians' ambition of becoming a $1 trillion economy cannot be achieved if women, who represent over 50% of our population, remain constrained to the margins. Already, women own over 43% of medium, small enterprises in Nigeria. Yet, only 9% of them have access to formal credit. They also face other pressing challenges around access to markets and digital and financial education, which will afford them the opportunity to upskill quickly. That is why at the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, we're delivering a transformative program at scale. We're implementing the flagship Renewed Hope Social Impact Intervention 774, which Mr. President personally launched in Nasarawa earlier this year. As part of the program, the ministry has commenced an early-stage intervention in over 18 states of the Federation with a range of support that cuts across enhancing women's participation in the agro-value chain, clean cooking initiatives, empowerment and skill acquisition programs, and also market linkages. This is and a host of others. It also places a premium on strengthening families through family-first initiatives, which will be empowering women and protecting children, and will also be supporting the vulnerable households to secure a very foundation of our national stability. We're also establishing a robust national care economy framework. This is also a key ambition of this administration, to unlock the productive potentials of millions of women and vulnerable households. These are sparks of bright hope, which gives us confidence that we are on the right path, and our advocacy and interventions are already yielding concrete policies. And today in Nigeria, more than 60% of our population is under 25 years. So this is a step in the right direction. In the private sector, women are also breaking ceilings. Female executives now occupy an estimated 22% of leadership positions, which is higher than the global average of 20%. Yes, we deserve an applause for that. And women lead over 40% of Nigerians' key commercial banks. Thank you. Women are equally trailblazing in sports. The Super Falcons secured their 10th WAFCON title, while the national women basketball team made history with a 5th consecutive victory at the 25th FIBA Women's Afro-Basket Championship. For me, these examples demonstrate not only resilience, but also the transformative contributions of women when given the space to thrive. Your Excellencies, distinguished partners, the evidence is compelling. A World Bank study shows that closing the gender gap in labor force participation could add as much as $222 billion to Nigerians' GDP by 2030. This is clearly an economic necessity. Empowering women fully is therefore a strategic pathway to unlocking the prosperity and resilience of our beloved nation. Permit me to illustrate this at this point with a brief reflection from the field. Earlier this year, during a field visit, I met a mother of 4 who runs a small business and is a beneficiary of the Nigerian for Women project. The Nigerian for Women project is the biggest investment ever made by the Nigerian government in the women's space. It's a $540 million investment, It's a supported World Bank program, and many states are participating. She recounted how before joining the Women's Affinity Group, established under our intervention, she had no choice but to borrow from informal lenders at a crippling rate of 30%. Today, she saves collectively with other women. She accesses credits at just 5%, and she earns enough to feed and educate her children. That, Your Excellency, is the true meaning of inclusion. It is not an abstract theory. It is the difference between hunger and hope, between survival and dignity. Allow me to recount 2 stories again. This is a story of my auntie, my biological auntie, who after staying with us for a few months after we lost our beloved mother, was lamenting on going back home to her farm work. And she said, oh my God, I'm gonna leave, waking up and sleeping to the farm. I said, why are you not excited? That's what you do. She said, no, we walk 2 hours every day to the farm. And then we walk back home 2 hours at 5 o'clock back home, and we only earn 20,000 because we don't own our own farmlands. Because we work on someone's farm. I said, whose farm is it? She said, Oso's farm. I said, really? She said, yes. And she said, and do you know that when men do the same labor, I said, why? She said, because they're heads of households. Ladies and gentlemen, those days are gone. Allow me also to tell a story of my auntie in Yola, who every month will ask me to support her in feeding her family. She will say, Mamana, akwe yonwa in Hausa, send me something. But one day she watched the TV and she saw the First Lady, Her Excellency, Senator Olurami Tinubu, CEO, speak about every home garden. She said, I also like to own a farm. Or I also like to experiment on farming. Can you send me something? I sent her 200,000 naira and 5 bags of fertilizer. To cut the story short, she was able to harvest 100 bags of rice. At that time, each bag of rice was 100,000. And I said, what are you going to do with it? She said, I'm going to sell half, and I'm going to feed my community with half. That's what happens when you empower a woman. On a lighter note, if it was a man, he would have sold all. Would you agree? But she sold half and she made 5 million for the first time in her life, and she was able to feed her community with the rest of the half. This informed our decision to launch one of the most ambitious agro program for women, the Renewed Hope Wave 774. It has the potential of injecting about 40 trillion naira to the Nigerian economy. It's too good to be true, but it's true. Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, yet stories like this reminds us that sustainable change requires more than programs. It must be reinforced by strong policy reforms and representation. That is why we're supporting the Special Seat Bill for Women, designed to guarantee more presence in the legislative chambers. The evidence is global and compelling. When women are at the decision-making table, budget allocation shifts towards education, healthcare, and social protection. Inclusivity deepens and society prospers. Equally important is the professionalization of gender work. We must invest in building a cadre of certified gender professionals with the technical expertise to anchor institutions, ensure that gender is not treated as a peripheral issue, but as a central pillar of national planning, budgeting, and service delivery. We are also investing in the emergence of a more strengthened and deepened social workforce to complement our emerging care economy in Nigeria. Ourselves accountable to treat critical questions over the course of this summit. How do we accelerate action and ensure inclusion moves from meeting rooms to measurable action in our public and private institutions and in our communities. Secondly, what innovative mechanisms can guarantee that women, youths, and children are not left behind in the pursuit for national prosperity? And finally, how do we work more collectively together across government and private sector, civil society, and development partners to scale proven models and embed them sustainably in our national development frameworks to ensure we eliminate waste and record the required progress? Let me pause at this point to appreciate all my colleagues at the Ministry, the Policy Innovation Center of the NESG, all our partners who have made this summit possible. What you have built is a platform that is no longer just a national conversation. It is fast becoming Africa's foremost marketplace of ideas and inclusion. For us at the Ministry, the insights from the GS25 are invaluable. They shape our frameworks, they sharpen our delivery, and they hold us accountable. Permit me also at this point, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to appreciate His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for his highest demonstration of political will and prioritization of the women, children, and family agenda. It is unprecedented. Thank you. I also like to appreciate Her Excellency, the First Lady. Since the inception of this administration, she's been in every nook and cranny of this country, ensuring that Mr. President's leadership counts. We thank her for her energy and for leading us with the heart of gold. I'd like to thank everybody in Nigeria today who is rooting for women. We've never had a crop of he for she's in Nigeria. And that's why I say it is indeed women o'clock. Your Excellencies, distinguished partners, as we look forward, our task is simple, but it's urgent. To ensure that the energy and ideas from the GS25 are translated into measurable change, the Ministry will continue to work hand in hand with the federal and state institutions, the civil society, and our development partners to ensure that our communities, our commitments are met. As Kofi Annan once reminded us, there is no tool for development more effective than the empowerment of a woman. I thank you all for listening. May God bless you all. May God bless the Nigerian women, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you so much.
Amen. Hajia Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim, the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs and Social Development. Honorable Minister, please don't go to your seat just yet. We can't have such a powerful woman as yourself in our midst today and will not glean some more from you. So I want to do a quick fireside chat. You know, she was actually the Minister of State for Police. You remember? But the president saw that, come on, this is such an effective and efficient woman. Let's reassign her. And she was reassigned to the Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development. So we need to glean from all the experience she has. So it's my pleasure to welcome the moderator for this fireside chat. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the GS25 Technical Advisory Committee Chair, Hansatu Adegbite, for this fireside chat. For the next 15 minutes, we're going to glean and soak into her experience and wisdom. Then we'll quickly take the keynote speech. Thank you very much.
Okay, our Honorable Minister, for those of you that don't know our minister, there is one slogan she says every time she's in a room full of women. But before she says it, let me ask the youth in the room. Let me hear you say GS 2025, all the youth. That is why now the women should show them how it is done. So for all the women in the room, let me hear you say, it's women o'clock.
It's women o'clock.
And that is our minister's slogan. So our minister, I will admit that you have re-energized your ministry, the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs. We have seen so many initiatives. Some of them have been forgotten things. Some of them are new initiatives. Like the policy you did, the first policy, health policy.
More, and we're going to ensure that we give them the enablers to be able to. And then we're there to support them all the way through. So yes, be it the menstrual hygiene policy, be it the family strengthening program to ensure that there's stability at home, be it access to finance locally and internationally, programs to follow through with all of our commitments. Because we know that when women have money in their hands, most of our problems as a country will begin to disappear. From out of school children, there's no woman who has money that her kids will not go to school. Would you agree? Nutrition, we have an overwhelming problem around nutrition. When you have money, would we have nutrition problems when women have money in their hands? More than 50% of our children in Nigeria are stunted. That's an emergency. And when women have money, then we won't have issues around SGBV. Will a man beat a woman that has money? Where will he see her to beat her? So yes, that's where we are as a country.
Thank you, our minister. Please, let's encourage her. Let's encourage her. In fact, let me reverse the question. Will a woman beat a Dangote? Our minister, we are all here in the room. It's about new voices, new approaches. What can we do to support and make your tenure successful for Nigerian women? There are different categories of people here. You can talk to us now.
The women's space in Nigeria is not well invested in. It's been underinvested. So I think first things first is we need a women's fund, because to address the gap within the women's agency, we need trillions of naira. The government can't do it alone. We're putting a structure for a fund that will be highly accountable. And I invite everyone to join the strengthening and the emergence of a fund for women, for children, for family, that will not just only serve Nigeria, but serve the African woman. Secondly, it's very important that we work as a block. We talk as a block. We're too divided in the women's space. With the problems that we face, we must work together. The Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development is the only legal instrument that we have as a country to achieve and realize our goals. We must use it. I see people doing things on the side and not involving the ministry, maybe because we have not been able to reach out, and that's why you see me out there trying to, ensure that everybody has that sense of belonging, recognizing that this is your ministry. So it's very important that we work as a block, because when we don't do that, then we weaken the federal government's instrument, and that is what we really have to get us the domestic resources, to get us all of the policies, going through. So we must work as a block. We must work together, and that's what I need from everybody in this room, private sector, public sector, for us to speak in one voice and to work together.
Thank you so much, Minister. Let's encourage her. Thank you. I think it's really about partnerships and collaborations. I am conscious of the fact that the minister's time is very tight. And so as she concludes, I will just ask her one simple question. What do you want your legacy to be at the end of the next 2 years?
I'll put it in simple terms. I think everything starts and ends with economically empowering a woman. And that's what I would like for my legacy to be. That's what I would like for Mr. President's legacy to be. The Nigerian woman is not only phenomenal, but she's reliable. The Nigerian woman is the most reliable person you can find on planet Earth. She would always come through. I remember speaking to the chairman of the National Sports Commission, and I said, what would you say about the Nigerian woman? He said, the Nigerian woman will never fail Nigeria. So when the Nigerian woman is economically empowered, then she can come through regardless for Nigeria. And that is what Mr. President's legacy will be, that he has economically enabled and empowered the Nigerian woman.
Thank you so much. Don't threaten to clap. Clap. Eh? Clap, clap. Thank you so much, our minister.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please, before you leave the stage, we would like to invite some people to take photos with you. Yes, please, would like to invite the chairman, NESG, chairman, PIC, NESG CEO, the executive director of PIC, and of course, we already have Mrs. Ansatu on stage. Can we also have the co-chair?
Would also like to have a TSC chair. Of course, she's already on stage. Co-chair as well. Join for the photographs. And the keynote speaker. Please, I'd like to welcome the keynote speaker to please join for photographs. Nigerian men, blow your trumpet.
No. We won't have it. No, Kayode.
We don't have a trumpet today.
We will not.
Please hide your trumpets.
Today is our day.
Please hide your trumpets, man. Whistle, right? That's fair. Would like to thank the Honorable Minister for making time out of a busy schedule to attend this all-important event. I want to say thank you. Yes. And Honorable Minister, we have one more request for you. Women don't just support women in Nigeria, we also support women across Africa. So we'd like to just for a few minutes more as we take the keynote speech. Mrs. Ole Diba Wada, all the way from the Gambia. So please let's put our hands together for the Honorable Minister and other dignitaries who are present here today. Minister, I would like you to just wait for a moment, just so we can take the keynotes speech.
All right. So let us welcome our keynote speaker, Ole Diba Wada, founder and CEO, GAM Africa Institute for Leadership at the Gambia, and also board member, Women Political Leaders in Belgium. All right. Please put your hands together for her as she takes the keynote speech.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this summit stands as a testament to the remarkable potential and power of inclusion and underscores the urgent need to amplify diverse perspectives and project them into leadership. While we must acknowledge that a lot of the work still needs to be done, we must recognize that in recent years, profound shift and a significant transformation have begun in the landscape of gender inclusion, and women in particular, non-binary individuals, marginalized voices are no longer confined to the periphery and expected to just participate in conversations. As we have heard from the Honorable Minister, these women are leading conversations. They're stepping into leadership roles and actively shaping the conversations about our collective progress. We have come a long way, but still must cover the mileage that is left. The traditional methods of strategies of advocacy that served us well into the past may still be relevant, but are no longer adequate in tackling the complex multifaceted day. Certainly, the benefits of physical interactions like this summit cannot be underestimated. They allow us to share human passion and to put names to faces. But times are changing. And as had been previously alluded to by the chairperson of the Policy Innovation Center, the COVID-19 lockdown accelerated the rapid insertion of technology as an integral part of our storytelling and experience sharing. Today, digital platforms of social interactions are the new normal. Even as BBCs born before computers, some of us continue to express nostalgia, ways of convening. Ladies and gentlemen, 2016, I sat down to write my memoirs. Once I started writing, I could not stop. I literally completed the first draft of the manuscript within 3 weeks. And a week later, I found an editor and a publisher. In fact, the first day I started to write, I wasn't hungry. I started around 10 a.m. and before I knew it, it was 3 a.m. the next day. I was just writing and the thoughts kept coming down through my mind. No edits, no filters. I felt like a download of the good, the bad, and everything in between of my life experiences was being shared in these memoirs, unfiltered. And when I shared the draft manuscript with my family for their review, my mom asked me how I knew some of the things I wrote, as I was not supposed to know about them. For some, my mom felt I was too young to remember, and for others, I was not even born. I don't know where the inspiration and the information came from. I felt like I had downloaded half of my life from 5 to 50 years old. 6 months later, I launched the memoirs in April 20 present to myself. The 3 weeks that followed the book launch were among the most therapeutic experiences I've had. And why am I telling you this story, you may ask? As I rolled out the book, women from all walks of life reached out and said to me, had just written their own life story. One even said to me, I felt like your mom and my mom were hatched from the same egg yolk. Schools ordered several copies and I was invited to speak to parents, and the main characters in the book were my mom, and guess who? My husband then. And I would let each one of you reflect on what I may have written about those two, speaking candidly. Many readers expressed that my story altered and changed in the private and public. To each and every one of you in this room, whether we are women and girls, employed or whether we are poor or wealthy, educated or uneducated, our new mantra, our new narrative must be to speak up, speak out, get up, dust off, and pull ourselves off by our bootstraps. There is a community out there for each and every one of us who share similar experiences and challenges to what we go through. That community is the collective we all need to feel included. No more words like I am a victim of the system, or I am a victim of an abusive marriage, or I am a victim of society. We are not victims. We are and must be creators of our realities. I cannot reiterate enough that we must take our power back and own our narrative. Our voices must be heard and our stories must be told for us, by us, in ways that resonate with our realities. Too often, we live by the other story, his story, history. We must learn to tell her story, and there are multiple ways to tell her story. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we live in an era of technological revolution. Social media platforms have allowed us to share our stories. All too often, only the good stories and images of our public lives are shared. While that is positive and can inspire others, we must not shy away from talking about the totality of our humanism. No one is perfect. We are all humanly flawed, and we must own it. No one knows it all, and no one has all the answers. We will be amazed at how many of us go through similar experiences as women when we use our voices and speak out. We must realize that every story is about our perspective of that individual, ourselves. Even your story can be interpreted differently. Experience. It is all about perspectives. Who is looking at it? Prism through which they look. A few days motivate and lift others up, even unknowingly, to help each other get out of a victim mentality. Tell us, in the past, our messages and voices were heard through traditional griots. They were heard through music. They were heard through dancing and drumming. They were heard through drama, and they were heard through writing. In today's 21st century, new platforms are being added to the mix, and we must rise to meet the momentum. And what better opportunity to capitalize on technology as a new way of using our voices and telling our stories. Today we see the rise of digital content creators. We see the rapid growth of AI. We have ChatGPT, we have TikTok, we have Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, or rather X, and we can interact with anyone on the other side of the globe. I hear my children talk about Snapchat and Twitch, although they will not allow me to subscribe to them, but it is probably for my own good. Who knows? Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, of course, this message is that we have an opportunity to use technology and online platforms to use our voices and tell our stories in meaningful ways, to show off our skills and talents for online and long-distance dating, that's happening now, to entertain, to share learnings, to host platforms and invite people to share their stories and showcase the great things we're doing. We heard the Honorable Minister earlier on. She told the stories of the progress that women in Nigeria are making. And this is what we can do by amplifying the stories among many other benefits using technology. But of course, there's a difference between how the stories of our parents and grandparents were narrated then and how our children and grandchildren narrate theirs now. But like it or not, technology is here to stay. And we will continue to advance at a rate that is faster than we can imagine. Every hour of every day, there are new innovations being developed. Even the Zillennials, who are supposedly tech, we are a digital society now. With an iPhone and an Android phone, we influence change to fight the good fight. Even from the comfort of our living rooms, GoFundMes to help people medically that need support financially. WhatsApp platforms are bringing families, like-minded allies, compatriots at home and in the diaspora together. We see African youth use social media to mobilize themselves massively. My mother's generation is to help each particular group to understand the benefits of the narratives of our generations and learn from each other to preserve the traditions of yesteryears while innovating and adapting our stances to better protect the cultures of tomorrow. Therefore, intergenerational dialogue, older generation and must be encouraged, and the younger generation. So our children can learn lessons from our parents and grandparents. Growing up, spending weekends and holidays with our grandparents were the highlights of our lives. Lucky were those who had the privilege to live with their grandparents. As some do in our parents' home, we heard and listened to the stories about our ancestors as their stories and their voices were narrated through our grandparents and our parents. Times have changed, and we have to move with the times, and technology today is the new path. Back home in the Gambia in 2016, 4 power contributed to the collapse of the dictatorship that the country was under 22 years: the women, social media, and the diaspora. And today, as our current government isn't delivering on the promises of accountability, of freedoms and democratic governance, its poor performance is being exposed using Facebook Republic, as we all know, and TikTok, for instance. Ladies and gentlemen, this technological age does not spare nations. It has become evident that these days, nothing can be hidden under the sun. We see people taking videos of everything inside or outside of our homes, digital content creators, and finding unique and tell our stories. We have all become professional photographers and photojournalists, collecting and sharing evidence of anomalies. This, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, is the power of the collective, the power of inclusion. For it matters not who your voice reaches. What matters is how that message makes the other feel in this global yet lonely village, both for men and for women. Technology does not discriminate. It is a tool that can be used by anyone daring and willing to learn, to tell our stories, to speak out, to accelerate and amplify our voices, old and new, for an inclusive society, irrespective of our gender, our race, ethnicity, religious beliefs, geography, and location, and language. In concluding, my hope is that this summit will ignite a spark of powerful movement aimed towards the realization of a genuinely inclusive society, one in which we can accelerate the pace of human dignity and the potential for goodness, using technology to take back our power, to own our narrative, to inspire others, and be our brothers and our sisters' keepers. Inclusion matters, and no one individual should be an island. May we all, individually and collectively, step forward to embrace with confidence that first or next courageous and daring step to use our voices for the good of humanity. I thank you all for your time and attention and for unwavering dedication to this vital cause, and wish us all fruitful deliberations over the next 2 days. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that powerful keynote speech. Really powerful. Thank you so much. And that powerful speech came from none other than a powerful woman. Well, in our country, she's also known as an activist. So she's not just a developmental strategist and expert. She's a woman that uses a calm demeanor and power to fight. So once again, let's put our hands together for our keynote speaker, Madam Ole Dibawada, founder and CEO, GAM Africa Institute for Leadership, Gale. And it was piercing. You see the way she takes her words, they pierce through you. You don't know, but you're actually absorbing everything. And she said something quite important. we must take our power back. I say we because I also identify, right? We must take our power back and own the narrative with technology. Ensure that we're very, very intentional about this. Thank you very much once again, madam. Well, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, coming up next on the Gender and Inclusion Summit 2025 is a plenary session. But I want to quickly acknowledge the presence of some very, very distinguished guests. We have the pleasure of the presence of a country director, Plan International, and co-chair and Inclusion Summit 2025, Dr. Charles Osei. Let's put our hands together for Dr. Charles Osei. Thank you very much, Dr. Osei, for the great work. We also have with us founder, Women at Risk Foundation, Dr. Kemi Da Silva Ibru. Let's put our hands together for her. I saw her there just a moment. I think she stepped out momentarily, but she'll be joining us once again. All right, let's switch gears now and move on to the plenary. Now, this plenary is by GIZ Partners, and I'll just like to introduce you to that plenary that is themed Catalyzing Change, Best Practice for Gender Responsive Education and Governance. The moderator for this plenary is none other than the Deputy Director